we need to invest more in irrigation systems. Now, irrigation systems mean, for instance, on our farm, we've invested quite heavily on the irrigation side, which allows us to produce about 3 times a year. Now, if more people had irrigated lands, what it would mean is we can just prepare all the bonds necessary, and then we can continue to plant and then continue to do that 3 times or 2 times a year. Another thing, I think we'll have to invest a bit in mechanization. So you can't do large-scale farms without tractors, without the right implements.
$1.1 billion. That is the amount Ghana spent last year importing rice into Ghana.
Ghana has a $1.1 billion rice problem that has now become a $1.1 billion rice opportunity for aspiring entrepreneurs. I met with one of my favorite innovators in Ghana's farming and agro-processing ecosystem to discuss opportunities you and I can take advantage of within the rice value chain. He's been working very hard over the years to provide Ghanaians a healthier alternative to the rice that we currently import into the country. And get this, his rice actually tastes better than the ones that are currently on the market. It's a lot of hard work, but he makes it sound easy. Let's meet him now.
Hi, people. Hi.
Ghanaians eat a lot of rice. So if I'm thinking you're going to be consuming rice from when you're 2 years old till when you are above 60 years old, and you don't know where the rice is coming from, what impact would that have on your health? And why should we begin to care about where the things we consume come from?
I think first off,
Sorry to be so morbid. Like, you could die, literally, if you don't know where your meals come from. I heard that they bleach the rice and store them for 10 years.
Dziffa is being a little too dramatic.
But it's true,
no, it's not. It's not that bad.
Okay.
There's an element of what I see with what you're saying, especially for us Ghanaians, especially for us Africans. It's important for us to know. Like you said, most of us started eating rice before we were 2 years old, even, and most of us have never seen what a rice plant looks like.
This is my first time on a rice farm.
Clear example. And so why we think that this is important is because we need to know some of these things so that we even know whether there are ways to improve them, whether what we're even eating or consuming is good or it's not. And so I'm a firm believer in having people be able to visit the farm and be able to see what rice looks like, be able to see how we're producing it. Also for them to know even what goes into producing it, so that they are more confident when they are consuming it at home. And you're right. Look, there are so many chemicals I could spray on the rice that will make my growing process a lot easier, a lot simpler, a lot quicker. But then we don't want to go that way because, again, for us, we are in for the long haul. I'm working with a lot of young people. I myself am young and I want to be here long enough.
I really need to understand how you go from, can I pluck it?
Yep.
How you go from this to
you didn't get it from the root.
I didn't do it well. Oh, okay. So how does it work?
So rice is actually a seed. Funny enough, the rice you eat, before it was milled and stuff, you could literally just take that and plant that again.
Wow.
So basically, you can decide at every point in time to use this either for seed or to actually consume it. That's kind of how that works. So there are 2 methods for planting rice. You could either broadcast it, which is just like throwing the seed out. And then the other method is to transplant it. So transplanting, we put it together in one small location. We make sure it's all grown, probably to this tall. Then we uproot them one after the other, and then we come and plant them in water.
This is what we've done.
Yeah, this is broadcasting. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I will show you. I'll give you a view of what a transplanted field looks like. And that one, it's like the field is in line, like people standing there for assembly.
But for decades now, it seemed as though the whole rice conversation was more complex than it should be. You talk about producing rice locally, people would ask you, have you had local rice? When you're chewing it, you bite into a stone. It's just not as good. You don't smell the perfume. It sounded like we had a lot of excuses why we wouldn't try local rice. What made you decide that I'm going to go into this space and I'm going to prove that Ghana rice can be even better than the ones that we import?
Great question. In fact, funny enough, the product, what we grow was actually manufactured here. So the hybrid rice we use is actually something that was done at Legon.
So what you're saying is you didn't go to Vietnam to go get their rice and
Nope.
plant. The Nana's rice we consume is actually invented
Here.
in Ghana.
Yes.
At the University
It's a
of Ghana.
hybrid rice seed that is able to withstand certain pests, that is able to withstand drought, that is able to just work better for our environment. The research guys here look at the Ghanaian person, the Ghanaian makeup, the Ghanaian soil, and then they gave us a seed, a hybrid seed that is for us. So you realize that if local people got involved in solving local problems, the effect, the transformational effect is going to be like exponential. Because when we started out, we tried, different varieties and things before we settled on one. We even had like a Brazilian variety that we were trying out, which yes, had some benefits, but the local one was just better.
What made it
And
better?
it tastes better.
It does taste better, by the way. If you try it, listen, myself and my friend Asante, we've only been eating Nana's rice for like years now. And after you eat your rice consistently, when you go back to eating the imported rice that we used to eat, you get sick.
Yeah.
So what is it about it? Is it because it's here, it's fresh, we can see where it's grown?
You would probably not be consuming a rice from us that is older than 6 months old. Now, most of the rice you've imported in is probably a couple months older. Because first of all, it was produced, it was stored in a silo for a couple years, and then shipped, which may take a couple months. Then it gets here, then it gets bagged and all that kind of stuff. So yes, there's a bit of it, that the freshness. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And so it's important that most people get into the space and get educated about what we don't know. Because we may sit back and assume that, Vietnamese rice is better or Thailand rice is better. But funny enough, the Ghana rice is actually a lot better because what they produce here allows it to be even more drought resistant. So it uses less water to be able to grow the same kind of rice that the Vietnamese guys are growing. So you recognize that, look, if only Africans will put value on what Africans do and what Africans have, the world will be a much better place.
So Nana, we have a $1 billion problem in this country. Why did you decide to be the one to find a solution to it?
So I am trying to be a part of the solution because I realized that rather than us continue to talk about some of these things, we need to take a more hands-on approach to figuring out how to actually solve some of these challenges that we are facing. And so that's really where that came from. And I realized it's not that difficult or complicated to try to solve. For instance, I started out doing this with 2 people, 5 acres of land. That's how we started.
That's it.
And then today, we are supporting over 300 smallholder farmers. Our goal is to be able to get to about 2,000 by end of next year. And then we should probably have done considerable number of acres of rice farm.
How many acres do you have so far?
We have approximately 10,000 acres right now. We may expand that as we go. Even at 10,000 acres of rice farm, I'm able to produce, if I did 3 times a year, I'm able to produce 60,000 tons of rice. 60,000 tons of rice. Ghana is consuming 1 million tons of rice. So even at my level of scale, I'm just contributing a bit to the much larger problem.
Would it be possible to actually envision a Ghana where at least 40% of the rice we consume is grown locally? And what would it take for us to get to that point?
It's very possible to even do more than 40%. But for that to be possible, there are a lot of different stakeholders. So what allows us to be able to farm 3 years in a row is the fact that we are investing heavily in irrigation. So I need a way to make sure that whether there's rain or there's no rain, I can always grow rice. And so that's one very big part. Once there's more irrigation systems in place, more and more people will be able to get into the rice production side. And once that rice production happens, then we could always talk about Ghanaians consuming more. Another thing is the hybrid seed we're using allows us to be able to achieve more product per hectare. So instead of you getting, say, 3,000 kilos out of 1 hectare, you could get as much as 5,000 kilos or you could get as much as 6,000 kilos. So once, even on the research side, those seeds are better produced, Ghana, from the same area, you'll be able to produce more rice.
So you get more output from the same
land area, just from good research. So you recognize that, look, if only Africans will put value on what Africans do and what Africans have, the world will be a much better place.